Hello everyone. Today we're going to begin a very interesting chapter, print culture and the modern world. Now, this is about something we see all around us, every single day, but we probably don't stop to think about just how important it is. We'll see how the simple act of printing completely changed our world.
So, let me start by asking you a question. Just think for a moment, from the time you woke up this morning to right now, how many printed things have you seen? Just try to make a small list in your head.
I'm sure the list is quite long, isn't it? Of course, there are your school textbooks and notebooks, then there's the newspaper, maybe your exam papers, posters you see on the walls, calendars. Print is literally everywhere. We live in a world of print, and we often take it completely for granted.
But have you ever wondered what the world was like before all of this? Can you imagine a time with no printing presses, no photocopy machines? A time when every single book, every single document had to be written out by hand. It's a bit difficult to even imagine, right?
All right, so here is our plan for today's session. We've already talked a little about print in our daily lives. Now we're going to travel back to see what a world written by hand was like. Then we will understand what exactly print culture is and see how print changed everything. And finally, we'll see what this story leads to next.
So let's start by going back in time. Let's explore the world as it was before printing was invented. This was the age of the scribe, a time of handwritten books.
Now, have a look at this image. This is a very old and beautiful manuscript from India. You see, it's written on palm leaves. Before paper was widely available, this was what people wrote on. These weren't just books, they were precious, handcrafted objects. Each one was a unique piece of art.
And how were these beautiful books made? Well, this picture gives us an idea. This is a royal workshop from the 16th century. The people you see working so carefully, they are called scribes, and their only job was to copy books by hand. It was an extremely slow and difficult process.
So what did this mean for the people? Well, first, these handwritten manuscripts were incredibly expensive. They were luxury items. They were also very fragile and difficult to take care of. And because it took so much time to produce even one copy, books were extremely rare. They were only available to the very wealthy, the kings, the nobles, and the scholars. Most ordinary people would never even see a book in their entire lifetime.
To help you understand this better, just imagine this situation. Suppose I ask you to copy your entire history textbook by hand. Every single word, every map, every diagram, everything. How much time do you think that would take? Weeks? Months? This gives you an idea of the kind of effort that was needed in a world that depended only on handwriting. Okay, so this world of handwritten manuscripts slowly started to change. Something completely new came into being, what we call print culture. But what does this term actually mean?
It's quite simple, really. Print culture is not just about the printing machine. It is about the entire world that was created because of printed things. It's about the new habits people developed, like reading books, debating new ideas they read in newspapers, and sharing information in a whole new way. It was a complete transformation of society. And, this new culture started long before the big machines were even invented. The earliest kind of printing was actually done by hand. What you're looking at here is a page from the Diamond Sutra. It's the oldest printed book known to us, from Japan, dating all the way back to AD 868. It was made using a technique called woodblock print. This shift from handwriting to print was so huge, so sudden, and so important that historians call it the print revolution. So let's take a look at just how much things changed. This chart shows the difference very clearly. In the manuscript world, making one book could take years. But in the print world, you could make hundreds of copies in a single day. The cost of books dropped dramatically, making them affordable for many more people. So the audience for books grew from just a few elites to a much wider public of common people. And very importantly, every single printed copy was identical.
Now, the real game changer in Europe was this invention. This is the Gutenberg press. It was developed in the 1430s, and it marked the shift from hand printing to mechanical printing. This technology made it possible to produce books on a massive scale for the very first time.
And just how massive was this scale? Look at this number, 20 million. In the 50 years after Gutenberg's invention, around 20 million books flooded the markets in Europe. This number is just unbelievable when you compare it to the old world of handwritten manuscripts.
So, what was the impact of this flood of books? Well, knowledge was no longer locked away with just the wealthy. New and radical ideas could spread like wildfire.
More people had a reason to learn to read, so literacy rates started to go up. And for the first time, you could have a public opinion, because large numbers of people could read about the same issues and then debate them. It transformed society.
This also created a very important cultural shift. Earlier, most people belonged to a hearing public. They would gather together to listen to someone read a text aloud. But now, with cheap books available, a new reading public was born. People could own their own books, read them silently by themselves, and form their own opinions.
So, where does our story go from here? This print revolution was a truly global transformation, and what we've discussed today is only the beginning of the story.
So, the key point to remember from today's session is this. Print was not just a new technology. It was a force that made information cheaper, faster, and available to many, many more people. It gave a voice to new ideas, and in doing so, it completely changed the world.
And this leaves us with a big question for next time. We have seen how powerful print was. So how did this new power actually play out in history? How was it used to challenge kings and religious authorities? How did it help to spark huge revolutions in Europe? And what was its impact right here in India? That is the exciting story that we will explore in our next session.